What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. And welcome to my inaugural niche seasonal list of any kind. This is for the spring of 2018. Again, this is kind of weird for me. Never thought I would be doing this, but here we are. I did a designer list. If you missed that, I'm going to leave that up there. Make sure you check that out. Those are my designer picks that I'll be wearing for the spring. And we're going to structure the niche list in somewhat of a similar way. And that is, I'm structuring this list not based on what I like the most in terms of smell. I love all of these fragrances for the most part that I have here, but I've structured them in such a way that they're listed in how much I will be wearing them, how much I know I will be wearing them. Again, trying to be realistic with myself and saying that even though I find this fragrance more interesting, I tend to wear this one more, so this one gets ranked higher. And that's how we're going to work out here. So we're going to jump right into it. Once again, no honorable mentions. I have 10 here for you. Disclaimer, we're going to see a lot of Creed on this list. Creed is one of my favorite niche fragrance houses, and they make bangers for the spring and summer, as many of you already know. So many of these are featured on this list. Let's jump right into it. First fragrance on the list actually comes from the house of Acqua di Parma. This is a brand new addition to my collection here. I'm still not exactly sure how I feel about it. I think it's a beautiful scent, but it uses the note of fig very heavily, and it, that juicy fruitiness and the tartness it brings is something I'm still getting used to, but I look forward to seeing how it plays when it's warmer out this spring. And this is from the Blue Mediterraneo line, and this is Fico di Amalfi. And again, a beautiful fig note. There's some citrus in here. It's pretty transparent, pretty aromatic, fairly sweet, but again, not like candy sweet. It's definitely a unisex fragrance, and that is also one of the things that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. It does kind of at moments, I get wafts and it feels a little bit feminine, but I think it works for a man just fine. So I'm gonna keep messing with it. It's brand new, that's why it's my number 10 spot. Still getting to know it. That's Acqua di Parma's Fico di Amalfi. At number 9, this is another Acqua di Parma fragrance, and I've had this one for a little while, and I've always enjoyed it. I'm happy to have it on this list. I do like it, but I know for a fact I'll be reaching for others over this one. And this is Colonia Essenza. And primary note in this is neroli, a very clean, fresh, uplifting neroli. You're gonna get quite a bit of citruses. You get this petitgrain vibe, that neroli petitgrain combo that you see in other fragrances that creates this soapy accord. Very clean, fresh, very masculine. Yeah, just a beautiful scent for the daytime. It's pretty casual, but I do think it could work very well as a daytime formal scent. This is Acqua di Parma's Colonia Essenza, coming in at the number 8 spot. I love this fragrance. Again, I find this fragrance more interesting than some of the others on this list, but I know for a fact that it's something I like to reserve a little bit more for upscale occasions. I don't really like to wear this casually just because of its scent character and profile. And this is no stranger to the community. This is Reflection Man. Now, I know many of you guys might be a little upset to see it this low, and again, it's not because I don't like it. Again, this scent, jasmine, it's like this creamy sandalwood jasmine. There's a little bit of sweetness, a little bit powdery, but it has this musky quality to it that makes it masculine. Man, it's a beautiful scent. It's often compared to Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, which I used to have and got rid of, and I actually see the comparison, but Le Male has that mint vanilla combo that comes off a little bit harsh to my nose, and this is just so elegant. Again, I know I will be wearing it, but I know I'll be very selective as to when I'll be wearing it. So that's number 8, Reflection Man from the house of Amouage. We're not going to do that again. Coming in at number 7, this is a fairly new fragrance. I do have a review on this, which I will link up top as soon as I reveal the fragrance. This is from an up-and-coming niche house. They just got off the ground, back in the fall, I want to say. And I've been in contact with the perfumer and the owner of the company. His name is Christian. Very, very generous guy. Nothing completely groundbreaking, but the highest quality in terms of ingredients fantastic performance, and the presentation of these things is gorgeous. This is from the house of ARGOS, and this is ARGOS Pour Homme. This is one of his 2 fragrances that he has right now. He has one for women called Pour Femme. I'm not going to go into this too much because I do have a review on it, which I will link up there. Beautiful men's citrus aromatic scent. Has some other subtle nuances to it that kind of make it stand out, but just a very natural scent. I really enjoy it. It's so easy to wear, especially in the daytime. Just gonna head out, run some errands, throw this on, don't even think about it. I love this stuff. ARGOS Pour Homme coming in at number 7. At number 6, we have our first Creed fragrance, and they will be taking up a majority of the upper part of this list. This is one of my favorites. Again, something I find more interesting than some of the others, but it is something that I once again tend to reserve for more special occasions. I don't wear this all the time, just super casually. And this is something I've talked about before and I've reviewed. This is Creed's Vetiver Geranium. I'll link my review up here. Oh my goodness. Interesting combo of notes. You have apple and cinnamon, and obviously geranium is a major accord in this. You have some vetiver, obviously. You get a nice musk and patchouli in the base. There's even some amber. I think it adds a little bit of warmth to the dry down of this. This is just a beautifully elegant scent. It's marketed for men, but I do find it fairly unisex. But, oh man, this, you put on a suit, especially in the daytime, I think this is when this thing shines. Vetiver Geranium coming in at number 6. Number 5. Numbers 5 and 4 will both be Creed fragrances, just to let you know. At number 5, this is also a fairly new acquisition in my collection. I used to have a designer fragrance that was an alternative to this. I actually did a comparison review on that a while back, and I will say that my thoughts on these 2 fragrances as they were expressed in that review have changed. First of all, we're talking about Creed's original vetiver. And if you didn't know, this is often compared to Mugler's Mugler Cologne, which actually came out first. I believe that came out 2001, and this was released maybe 2004. So people say like, well, Creed copied Mugler, and they could have, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm also not upset by it, because at that time when I did that review, I said these fragrances are basically 95% the same, and they kind of are in terms of scent. But in spending more time with it, I've noticed a few things. First of all, if you don't know what this smells like, it basically smells like a clean green soap. Very fresh. You get some citruses. I know there's some mandarin in there. There's definitely some vetiver in here. You get even some ginger. Adds a slight spicy kick to it. And there's some sandalwood in the heart, which brings this creamy nature to it. I don't remember if Mugler Cologne has sandalwood in it, but it definitely does not retain that creamy nature that I get from this. And that is what sets this apart for me. It's so much smoother all the way to the dry down. Mugler Cologne is a nice scent, but it can come off a little sharp in a way that I'm not a fan of, especially when you put them side by side. Just smooth, clean, green soap, a little bit creamy, and the performance on this is much better on my skin than a Mugler Cologne. And I think in my video I may have said otherwise. I may have said that they're the same, but in actually wearing this one from the bottle, getting a full spray, because I had a decant which didn't give me the full effect, I've noticed that this performs much better. I get a good 7-8 hours out of this. Love this stuff. I'll be wearing it quite a bit for casual situations. This is Creed's original vetiver. Number 4, this is a spring staple. You'll see this in every reviewer's list when it comes to spring niche fragrances, if they own it. Not as high up as I've seen it in other reviewers' lists, but here I feel like it's still in a good spot, and I will be wearing it for a lot of occasions. And this is Creed's Green Irish Tweed. Now you might be used to seeing the black bottle, which is the 125 milliliter. This is the 75, which comes in this clear with this little kind of like suede patch on it that has the actual name of the fragrance and whatnot. It's really, really classy. Oh man, lemon verbena. You get a little bit of citrus. Iris is in this ambergris in the base, a little bit musky. It's been around for over 30 years. It's still being sold, and there's a reason for that. I don't need to say much more about this. If you haven't checked it out, please get a sample. Cool water, Armoff Trey Nuit, they don't come close. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. Green Irish Tweed is where it's at. Number 3. I also do have a review of this, which I did not too long ago. I'm loving this stuff the more I'm wearing it. It's so easy to throw on. And this was the introduction for me to this particular house. I hope to smell others from the house. Without saying too much more, this is Roger Dove's Elysium. Brand new release from last year. This is the Parfum Cologne concentration, which is such an interesting concentration for me. I'm not going to go into the details. If you want to know more, please check out the review right there. All I'll say, I mean, there's so many notes to this. There's a lot of complexity to it. You have this kind of citrus aromatic green nature to it, but you also have this kind of underlying I almost want to say gourmand nature to it. It doesn't smell like a gourmand fragrance, but I believe there's these heavier, sweeter notes, maybe like amber, maybe even vanilla. And juniper berry is a pretty big player in this as well. Just some fruity notes, just really a gorgeous complex, but comes off as just high quality simplicity to my nose. But if you really pay attention to it as it plays on the skin, as it dries down, it's a very interesting scent journey from start to finish. So easy to wear, shines when it's warm out. I'll be wearing this quite a bit. That's Roger Dove's Elysium at number 3. At number 2, not going to say much here. We can just call it the king. This is Creed's Aventus. And this was a hard one to place, because if you didn't see my video of fragrances that I wore the most for 2017, this topped the list by far. And there's a reason for that, because I love it and it's so easy to wear for any occasion all year. Man. So I had to be real with myself. I will be wearing this a lot. But my number 1 is pretty new to my collection. I'll be wearing that probably just as much. At least I'm going to try. I made a decision to not just fall into the same thing over and over. Yeah, I know I could reach for Aventus all the time for every occasion from here on out for the rest of the year. But I want to make an effort to reach for this other one as much as I can, if not just as much at the very least as Creed's Aventus. So they could have been tied, but didn't want to do a tie. Placing this on number 2 because you've seen it before. It's not played out, but it is getting old. But the scent is still beautiful. I'll still be rocking the crap out of it this spring. So that's going to be Creed's Aventus at number 2. For those of you who are just kind of getting into fragrances and you've never heard about this fragrance, just to give you a small picture of it. I haven't reviewed it, so I'll just let you know. You're going to get this very fruity, juicy, sweet pineapple note. And there's a citrus component to it as well up top. There's kind of a piercing bergamot mixed with that pineapple, mixed with some birchwood. Almost has a smoky quality to it. You get some florals, you get some like rose in there, and you also have a bit of apple, again underlying of birchwood, and also that musk, that ambergris, and vanilla. And as it dries down, you lose the fruitiness, but it becomes more woody and more vanillic and more musky, and it's just a gorgeous scent. I get great performance out of this. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it if you didn't know. That's Creed's Aventus at number 2. And my number 1. Now, this is technically not the first time I've mentioned this fragrance on my channel. I did release a video a few days ago. I actually ended up having to take it down for technical reasons, and in that video I did briefly mention this fragrance. Maybe about 1,000 of you guys actually saw that video, so some of you did see this. But beyond that, most of you haven't seen this fragrance on my channel, so we're going to talk about it now. I do have a review on it. Released from last year from the House of Creed, and it's Creed's Viking. That's right, Creed's Viking has topped my spring niche list. Why? Because I love this fragrance. It's easy to wear for me. I can basically wear it in all the same occasions as Aventus, but it is nothing like Aventus. I'm not going to talk about the notes all that much because I do have a review, which you should check out if you want to know more about the notes that make up the scent. But just to briefly describe this scent, I get this slightly sweet, minty, fresh, kind of peppery. It has that it has some pink pepper in there, so it has this rosy pepperiness to it. You do get some citruses that kind of give it some zing up top, but as it dries down, there's lavender actually in the base, which is not something you see a lot of, so it retains this freshness all the way throughout. You get some sandalwood in the base, so it really brings this kind of creamy freshness to it. Vetiver, I mean patchouli, I don't know, it's been getting a ton of hate. If you go on Fragrantica, it's going to look like one of the worst fragrances ever. People are saying it has terrible performance. People are saying that it doesn't have any sillage, that it's nothing new. It's nothing completely new. I mean, it gets compared to the traditional Old Spice, and it kind of comes off as this kind of old school, almost barbershop-y style fragrance that you might have smelled back in the 70s and 80s. But there's something modern about it that I really, really love. I love this fragrance. I've loved it since I first smelled it. I knew I wanted to get a bottle. I never thought I would, but I ended up finding this pretty cheap from another reviewer here on YouTube by the name of Dollars and Cents. My boy Israel, what's up, man? Thank you again for selling this to me for such a great price. I'm so happy to have it. I'll be wearing it a lot. I think it functions very well as a spring scent because it doesn't have too much heaviness to it. It has a freshness to it. It does have some depth with that patchouli in there and some of the woodiness in there and that vetiver note. So I think it's great with riding the line between kind of cool and warm weather. Works day and night in my opinion. Love this stuff. Again, check out my review if you want to know more about it. And that's my #1 Creed Viking. So thank you guys so much for checking out the list. Hope you enjoyed. If you know or are familiar with any of these fragrances, please let me know what you think of them down below. Once again, give me your top 3 niche fragrances, if you have any, that you'll be wearing for the spring. If you don't, just give me your top 3 fragrances again. Even if you commented on the last video, let me know again. We can keep talking about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you guys in the next one.